Once upon a time, there was a forest called Sherwood Forest in Nottingham. Sherwood Forest belonged to the king. One bright morning, a young man was passing by the forest with a bow and arrows on his shoulders. The guards called and stopped the young man.
Hey you! What's your name? Where are you going?
My name is Robin Hood. I'm heading to London to see the king to be his knight.
The guards thought that this man was nothing but a countryman and insisted to see his archery skill. Robin Hood put an arrow to his bow and shot down a running deer. Then the guards pointed their spears at Robin Hood and said,
You just killed one of the king's deer. You shall go to prison.
Robin Hood realized that the guards had tricked him to take his money away. Robin Hood ran away deep into the forest and hid himself. In Sherwood Forest, he found a little village that was formed by the people who were tricked like Robin Hood and the refugees who couldn't pay the high tax in the city. Robin Hood told them he was victimized by the guards and requested to live in the village. There was a little test that the newcomers had to take. The newcomers had to fight the biggest, strongest man in the village. Robin Hood won the match against the strong man impressively. Robin Hood was a good swordsman with strength, but he was best at archery. Robin Hood became the leader of the village. At that time, a very greedy sheriff who ridiculously collects the tax from people lived in Nottingham. The sheriff's men also took the food, livestock, and even clothes from the people and made the villagers' lives miserable. Robin Hood heard this rumor and gathered his men to teach him a lesson. One day, the villagers attacked the carriage that was carrying the people's tax.
I will let you go if you leave the money you have taken from the poor.
The sheriff's men left the carriage behind and ran away. The sheriff was furious at his men who came back empty-handed. Robin Hood took the money to the village and returned it to the people. They all came to respect Robin Hood. The sheriff heard about Robin Hood and decided to attack the village in the forest.
Robin Hood! The sheriff and his men are coming!
Robin Hood didn't panic, and he stood on a rock and said,
Everyone, be confident. Let's fight and show him what we are made of.
The villagers roared with confidence. The sheriff was shocked to see the unexpected arrows and rocks from the forest. The soldiers couldn't even fight back and withdrew from the battle hopelessly. The villagers cheered for their victory. The frustrated sheriff thought of a plan to trap Robin Hood. The sheriff spread the word that he would hold an archery contest that would give away a golden arrow and 10 pieces of gold to the winner. Although the villagers were stopping him, Robin Hood disguised himself to enter the tournament. Finally, the tournament day came, and all the fine archers from Nottingham gathered. The sheriff waited for Robin Hood, but Robin Hood did not show up. Instead, an old hunter won first place. When the old hunter came up to collect his prize, the sheriff took one look at his face and laughed.
Robin Hood, did you truly think that I would not recognize you?
Take this man away!
Robin Hood was taken away by the sheriff's men and put in prison. The villagers in Sherwood Forest gathered and discussed a plan to rescue Robin Hood. The sheriff put up the posters saying that the thief Robin Hood would be hung in front of people. However, Robin Hood believed in the villagers to rescue him, so he didn't worry too much. Finally, the day of Robin Hood's execution came. Robin Hood was put up at the stand. The people were sad to see Robin Hood at the stand, but they were too scared of the sheriff to say anything. It became dead silent, and a rope was put around Robin Hood's neck. The moment the board beneath Robin Hood's feet would drop drew near. Then an arrow flew through the air and cut the rope that was hung around Robin Hood's neck. The sheriff was stunned and cried out,
It's those village people! Don't let Robin Hood get away!
An intensive battle between the villager and the sheriff's men broke out. The people of Nottingham and villagers fought together against the sheriff. The sheriff was cornered and he tried to run away, but Robin Hood caught him. The king in London also heard of Robin Hood.
Do you mean he fought against the greedy sheriff of Nottingham? Bring that brave young man to me at once.
The king's men brought Robin Hood to the castle.
Are you Robin Hood?
Yes, Your Majesty.
You have done a good deed for my people. I shall make you a knight for what you have done.
The righteous Robin Hood's dream came true. Robin Hood pledged to the king that he would be the loyal knight. Robin Hood set out once again to help those in need. Robin Hood became the knight who always stood up for the people and helped them.